onto Euroquity. So please note it down and check it out, so that your business can be helped tomorrow. Your business can be matched up with an investor, and that investor could look at your business, could invest in your company, and again comes down to SBI. SBI, if you're organized and you show these investors the analytics that we have given you over a span of time, it's easy for you to convince that investor that you're bankable,
as a company,
that you're investable. And speaking more about this online platform, it maximizes visibility of the startups and companies, so that investors and partners can find you online. Over 1,500 companies have been funded to date. Over 1,500 companies.
Is it in Africa or all across the Europe?
It's a global network, like you might see some of these social media networks, or the likes of Facebook and Instagram. And you can sign up for it. You can register your company and have it on there, and hopefully investors can look at some of your ideas. So at the end of the day, we are trying to expose Ugandan companies, Ugandan businesses. And me and a few of my other friends, that when the idea was, we've been given this opportunity to go to Africa. I mean, to go to France, Montpellier and Paris, to try and not just gain something for ourselves, but also help our brothers and sisters at home. How do I help my brother? How do I help my friend? How do I, and this is what I'm breaking down for them. The BPI, International Collaborative Innovation Program. The Euroquity, which will do the matchmaking. Put your business on there. Let investors look at it. Let potential partners find you on there. And you've got the ability to access those markets without actually going there and pitching to every one of these people. So this is what technology is aiding us to do.
It is a Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is House of Talent Television. On this refined day, when we bring you the discussion about the new Africa-France relationship. What does it mean for Africa? What does it mean for the creative industry in Uganda? And of course, in East Africa, what does it mean? Breaking down this today on this particular program of the day is the one and only, the man who was in France, fresh from Montpellier. He is the CEO and a startup business owner here in Uganda, but also an aerospace engineer. I would like to introduce to you my guest today on the program, or this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on which part of the world you're actually watching the program from, is Paul Charles Rukundo. Paul, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Eddie.
Yes, here we spread love with the other hand. So you bring the other hand and then you spread love. Aha. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good to have you on the program today.
Good to be here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and this particular, day, we want to discuss the new Africa-France relationship and what does it mean for, the creative industry in Uganda, particularly in the tech space where you are.
Yes.
And you have been, investing in the tech space for some time. And we want to know from you, this new talk that France has brought and they're talking about right now, fresh from the summit in 2021 in Montpellier, what does it mean for the creative industry? What are they saying? How can we, take advantage of this and actually make sure that this relationship that we're beginning to forge is something that is good for us and we can take advantage of it? And I want to start from a very lighter note of knowing who you are. So, in a nutshell, who is Paul? Are you Ugandan? If yes, where do you come from? What are the values that define you as a person?
So, my name is Paul Charles Rukundo.
Yeah.
I'm an aerospace engineer, Ugandan born from Kisoro. Part of the family is from KAWA, and part of it is from Kisoro. I went to school here in Entebbe, Lakeside Academy, and I happened to be the head prefect there. Went on to St. Mary's College Kisubi after being the best in Entebbe municipality. And, that's where they started building my dream of becoming an aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
And, then on moved to do the international baccalaureate diploma. Then moved to my aerospace program where I did excel, and I used to teach a few of my other students at the university, which in turn inspired me that we could actually create solutions for the white people as well.
Yeah.
And it gave me the confidence and determination to go on and do my own things later on in life.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, I like the fact that you started leadership from the very, early age. Yes. And on that note, Paul, what is leadership to you?
To be honest with you, leadership is, from my perspective, it's the ability to pass on good qualities to the people that that follow you, the people that should aspire to be like you, or to operate in a manner that society expects them to. Yeah. So it's more about passing on good values to the people and taking them, showing them the right way that things have to be done. So yeah, that's my definition, so to speak, leadership. Yes.
Yes, and I just want to take you back a little bit, Paul.
Yes.
You said that you started, you became a head prefect when you were very young.
Yes.
I suppose. And just want to ask you a question. Would you term that to being creatively, being a good leader, or would you call that self-leadership? What would you call that?
At that point, it's the people that actually asked me to lead them.
Yeah.
I had been a class monitor all the way from the junior years, and when they asked me to stand, I stood, and the other people actually dropped out. So my friends, and they said, if you're actually coming up to the platform to lead us, then we have no reason to stand against you, and we'll support you. So I went through unopposed, and it was quite an experience. I loved it.
Wow. I would like to take a moment to welcome everybody out there to the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, in the studio is Paul Charles Rukundo, who is the CEO of Smart Business Intelligence, SBI, a company founded in Uganda, as well as, KAWA, which stands for Associated Agency for Writers in Uganda. And of course, Paul is still the CEO there and trying to lead a group of people. We're definitely going to ask Paul to share a little bit more about these two organizations that he leads and what do they do, how do they, do things creatively, and what solutions are they providing to the market space in Uganda and all across East Africa, if there are any, and of course going to the rest of the world. We want to take this moment to welcome all of you guys to the program, and of course Creative Industry Talk is discussing today the France Africa Summit 2021, the relationships. We're continuing with the series on what does it really mean for Uganda's creative industry in technology. And Paul is here to break that down. Last week we had Mr. Peter Nyeko coming from Mandali's Energy to talk about what does it mean for people in the energy space. And of course, Peter was able to break that down. Paul, we want to just dive into this conversation quickly. You were in France.
Yes, I was.
And you happen to be among the few people who made it. I was in France by just a video.
Yes.
I recorded a statement.
Yes.
Would you just give us a small perspective of what this really means for Africa? What does New Africa-France relationship mean for Africa? In your perspective.
In my perspective, I think I like the initiative that President Macron and his team have taken. It's a big initiative called Choose Africa. And it's being led by the French Development Agency, FD, and FD is there to support governments, for those that don't know, and they purely support government. Then there is another arm called POPACO. POPACO is the private sector lending arm of the French government. And they basically support microfinance institutions. So they also do support SMEs, but through the microfinance institutions. And there's Digital Africa that is also supporting startups in tech, in this creative industry. And being there, I saw the zeal that they had to actually change, to participate, to take charge of what is happening in the continent, and to create solid partnerships, mutually beneficial partnerships that we could actually take advantage of. We managed to go there. We managed to network with quite a number of people. Met people from all over the country, from the Anglophone to the Francophone to the Spanish-speaking African countries, and it's quite interesting seeing youth just like us that are facing similar challenges, but they're managing to create their own solutions, from their own countries to try and help themselves. And one thing I would like to allude to or tell the other youth out there is we have to start creating our own solutions for our own problems. Otherwise, no one else is going to come from, Europe, America, or wherever to try and fix our own issues. So I would like to urge other youth, the other creatives out there, hit the ground running, go in there, try and solve the problem that your neighbor has, the problem that your friends have. And by creating those solutions, you can easily, become the next big company of tomorrow, creating, bigger solutions, nationwide and on a continent level.
Okay. Talking of that, Paul, I want you to just drive straight to your, if you would tell us more a little bit about your organization. Your organization in the creative space, and we've been following this for a while. You got a nomination to come into the program, not only because you have been in France, but also because a group of people have been following what you've been doing. And if you would take a moment to just tell us about, smart business intelligence, what is it about? What problems did you identify in the market space? And how did you come up with a product that you think are creatively solving, the problems that are in the marketplace? And how were you able to put the brand ahead of time. It's not easy. The world described Uganda as the most entrepreneurial country in the world, but yet our businesses started does not see its next birthday, as we keep saying, or it does not go beyond 4-6 months, and yet we're very entrepreneurial. How were you able to hold this down growing forward?
So we happen to be in one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world. East Africans they've got a huge entrepreneurial spirit. And you know, there's data out there that said for every 10 startups, you've got 8 that fail in their first year. So I've got my other colleagues, partners in the business, and one of the founders of SPI is a friend of mine, very close friend of mine, who happens to be an accountant as well. He's called Francis Otim, and the other is Ivan Oboth, who is a data scientist. You know, in regard to the creative part of the company, what we discovered vis-a-vis the 10, you know, out of the 10 startups, 8 failing. We decided to create solutions based on data. So that the data-driven solutions, data-driven insights. And the idea was to work with these SMEs, work with these enterprises, see the visibility gaps they could have in their companies, try and fix those visibility gaps, fix those control gaps. So we come in, transform the company digitally. Then we've got one of our products called My Accounts. It's an ERP, it's an accounting system. But basically what we do for the SME, for example, we'll come in there, give you the ERP, which is super cheap. We actually almost don't make a profit on that ERP because we're trying to help the SME. We're trying to help our own small companies grow to the next level. It's about 15,000 shillings a month for one user, but we usually package 1 to 10 users and have it sold at about 150,000.
Which is still affordable.
Which is still affordable. But the whole idea is your company will be able to know. I mean, if you take an example of some of our mothers or aunties that might be selling gonja in the market, might be selling meat in the market, but she's just that one person. She's got a big spirit, got a dream of doing something to, you know, help the families, you know, have that company that, you know, can start out. If you're the youth, you know, you're selling your Rolex, but how do you manage your finances? How do you manage your cash flows? So by using our ERP, they're able to manage their cash flows better. And it's a very simple, you know, application to use. Web-based, mobile-based. It's mobile money integratable. And what we essentially help them with is the cash flow management. And then we also give them actionable insights. Depending on the package you've taken, give you actionable insights, and you're able to know, okay, with my cash flows that I have, where am I going wrong? Am I keeping too much inventory? Unlike the other softwares that we've seen out there, most of them do not have the inventory software management that is actually embedded within their ERPs. Ours is quite holistic. We'll manage your production. If you're a big entity, you know, we'll manage the production, we'll manage the sourcing, we'll manage the distribution, and we've got softwares to do that. And we're actually a testament that AI, data, machine learning can actually be done by a Ugandan company, and we thrive at it. We thrive at it. And for the SMEs, as I was telling you, we aid them with that cash flow management bit of it, an e-accountant, so to speak. And what is interesting is we'll have them survive past that 1 year. Yeah, but not just survive, but thrive as well. So that you know, okay, with these finances that I have, can I be able to buy a new machine? Can I be able to employ 5 other people? And you'll be able to know that, okay, if I hire 5 more people, it will affect my cash flows in this way. It will affect my cash flows down the line. If I hold too much inventory, how will it affect my cash flow? Or you know, because of our insights and analytics that we've got, one can be able to know that I've been holding too much inventory here. And so I've got to offload some of it, which will aid them have more cash to operate with and cover their OPEX and some of the CAPEX.
Wow. Yes. Paul, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want us to dive into KAWA, and of course, you'll also throw a little bit more light about how this is changing lives in that area. So far from what we're hearing from you is that it's a very interesting, creative, you know, innovation that are helping businesses grow forward. Data has not been one of our, you know, main strength in Uganda. When we talk about data in Uganda, it says it's too expensive, I can't afford this at this point. And then we talk about creatively, you know, communicating about our products and brands. Says, no, that's too much money, I can't go into branding and marketing at the moment. So you find a lot of information about our businesses actually not out. Then you find our businesses are not, or our products are not on shelves anywhere, either in Uganda or across East Africa, or even in Africa, competing at that level with products coming from Kenya, Rwanda, and the likes, simply because the product packaging and branding is not very good. So it's not just about the data you are talking about. Does it help us to actually get to this point to say, you know what, you need to package your product very well. The reason why you're having too much inventory in the store is because, you know, you're not selling that much, or this product X or Y is not moving that much. And, you know, does it really get to that point where the person gets to creatively begin to realize what the problem is? To
be honest, you know, you're an ambassador of ours, so to speak, because that's exactly what it does. It's smart. It uses the artificial intelligence to be able to tell you that the way you're running your business is not the right way. This is where you're doing poorly. This is where you're thriving. These are the products you're selling more. This is where you're making the losses. Fix that gap. This is where you're most likely to thrive. So you focus on that. And because of those insights, your small company starts putting, starts targeting, you know, the market directly, because you know what product sells, which means you are going to have bigger revenue, more revenue, which means your company is going to thrive. So instead of seeing these 8 companies collapsing after 1 year, we hope to see maybe all the 10 go through in the first year. So that we can have, you know, higher employment in the country, so that we can have our products in shelves, you know, in the UK, in, you know, all over Europe, Paris, in the US, and all over. But at the end, you know, alluding to what we had spoken about earlier, from our experience going to Paris and talking to the big companies out there and telling them about our product, they were really shocked that an African company is actually creating such solutions. They were shocked that we didn't have any white partners that were actually the ones creating the solutions.
For ourselves,
Yes, and interestingly, I'll tell you that our sort of product, our sort of company can go to Europe and thrive. Our competitors that are there, who we have identified, we know that we can get into that same space, go toe-to-toe with them, and hopefully beat them at that game. So we are confident that we can thrive at a global level. But then again, we need to help our African businesses. We need to help our brothers. We need to help our sisters so that they can pull up their socks, so to speak. They can thrive through our data-driven insights.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, we're talking to Paul on the Creative Industry Talk, and we're discussing the new Africa-France relationship coming out of the Summit 2021. Paul was one of the people who went to Montpellier, and we're definitely going to be diving a little bit deeper to understand what went in that place, what went right or wrong, or what are the hopes that we can look forward to from that relationship that France is talking about. It's a new dawn for Africa. Let us choose Africa. Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break. This is Creative Industry Talk.
We can choose to teach what we teach differently. And for me, that's what I decided to do, even in the system that there were. When I was in Makere, my classes, I was very intentional on how I taught my classes. I opted to be a facilitator as opposed to a lecturer. 2, I allowed co-learning. We learn together. I am not the epitome of knowledge. If you have learned something and you think it's beneficial, let's share it. That's the second thing. That come to the realization that knowledge is not housed in one brain. Knowledge is God is gracious. Each one of us has a portion of knowledge about some of the things. When you trigger people to go and search, they will go. When you trigger people to sit back and depend on you, they will sit back. I'll say, trigger people to go and search. You will teach the same things, but the outcomes will be different. My final shot to those of us that are very passionate about education and want to change, when it is so painful with what you're doing, you'll do what I'm doing at Refactory. You'll choose to go against status quo. And I hope history will judge you fairly. When that time comes, I can say, yeah, I've trained about 300 people at Refactory. We've trained about, it's not only me, we've trained about 300 people at Refactory. We have about an average of about 70 to 83% placement. I can say I'm happy. I'm a very happy person because I know for a fact that the current placement rate for fresh university graduates is below 10%. So for me to be at 83%, yeah, I feel I can walk on the clouds, but I won't. There's still a lot of work to be done. And so each one of us has an individual responsibility for those of us that are in the education space. And hopefully, each one of us can then create that summative change that we need to see. Thank you.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela, and of course this is House of Talent Television. We're talking about the Africa-France relationship. What does it mean for Uganda's creative industry and from the tech, industry perspective? Tonight or today or this morning on the program, depending on which part of the world you're actually watching the program from, is Paul Charles Rukundo, the CEO of Smart Business Intelligence and of course KAWA. We're going to get to know more about KAWA and what KAWA does. Paul, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Just before we went for a break, you were telling us about the creative solution that Smart Business Intelligence is giving to Ugandan, businesses.
Yes.
Going forward, and I want you to just sum that up a little bit, and then you'll take us to KAWA, and how does this really fit into the conversation about the Africa-France new relationship? Okay. Yeah.
To tell you a bit or sum up some of the activities that we're doing at SBI. Number one, we can be your tech partner. Sometimes companies might not know what they actually need or what some of their tech needs could be. So we urge them to contact us, and we see how we can help them, how we can digitize some of their operations, how we can analyze their business operations so that they can complete the data universe, so to speak. But to bring it to simpler terms, at SBI will help digitize and transform your company by automating most of the operations, automating some of the processes so that number one, you know what's happening in your company and you can make your company profitable or more profitable. You can grow your company. And the other advantage of automating and digitizing most of those operations is you'll get aggregate reporting. You'll get proper documentation about your company and its operations, which means tomorrow if an investor comes in from France, for example, if an investor comes in locally, you can be able to give them this information, that SBI has collected for you for the last 6 months, last 12 months. Give them this data and they will know for sure that this is why I have to invest in your company and this is the profit that I expect. If you go to a bank, this information will be bankable because the bank can actually tell this is the profile of this company, this is what they're able to make, this is the profit they're able to make. And because of such insights as well, you'll go to a bank and be able to access a loan that you know you can pay off. Why? Because of our cash flow management software. Because of our ERP, you'll be able to know that I am going to take a loan of $1 million shillings. Ordinarily, a person without any data, they might go out there, ask for a loan of 20 million shillings, and before you know it, they can't pay it. They can't pay it off. Why? Because some of the insights are not data-driven. Some of their decisions are not data-driven. And this is how we can help companies. We have helped companies like Coca-Cola. We've helped companies like XSML, Balloon Ventures, who have invested in companies like Human Diagnostics. They have invested in companies like Medical Hub. It's a $3 million project that an investment that XSML has put in place, and they're using our software to actually run the hospital, to run the investment, and the investor is able to see that this is what's happening at the hospital, and they're actually doing well and they're thriving. Then the other bit I can tell you about SBI is even for the companies that have got several other 10 systems in place, we come in and integrate all those systems that you've got. You've got different data sets, maybe 5, 6, 7 of them. We make that data make sense
for whoever is consuming it.
Even the board, even the CEO, even the person running the company, they can know that, okay, in these 5 subsidiaries that I've got, what do they mean? Are they, people will bring you reports this size, but what do they actually mean? Yeah? The devil is in the detail. If you can be able to, if our AI can be able to aid you know what's happening in your company, then you know what to keep, you know what to cut off. So at the end of the day, we help de-risk the customers. Now, from the banking perspective, when you go to a bank, and we hope to start up our own fund soon, when you go to a bank, you're able to know that, okay, this company is performing like this. And because of that data that they've got, you're a less risky client than someone that just shows up there and says, I need a loan. Say, you need a loan, you know, for what reason? How much? How do you know that you need a loan of 20 million? Can you take it up? And these are the issues that private sector foundation is actually having, and most of these big banks have big books of bad loans. And we're basically going to come in and help these companies know their exact needs, because we customize some of these solutions for them. They know that I will only be able to take up a loan of this much because I'll be able to pay it up. So we work with governments, we work with non-government organizations, we work with telecos. That's on the enterprise side. And for the SMEs, we are ready. Please do come in. We are ready to work with you, digitize and automate some of your business processes, make you more productive, make you more efficient in your operations, so that you're able to thrive, so that you're able to do better, you're able to understand your customers better, understand your products better.
Okay. Paul, thank you very much for that. And of course, we're talking to Paul Rukundo. Paul is SBI. That information is creatively trying to help you navigate, you know, the turbulences that usually attack businesses. And of course, we're living in a world today where learning to lead our organization creatively to read the turbulences that kill our business is quite critical in this particular, you know, time. And COVID-19 is not presenting us with a very good opportunity to do that better. But like they say, with every challenge that comes with opportunity for you to, you know what to do, how to do it. And Paul is basically talking about how creatively, you know, their business model is helping businesses build. Paul, we're going to wrap up on SBI and go to, we want to know a little bit more about you. You are CEO of 2 different organizations. How do you manage this? And what is KAWA, by the way?
Number one, if you've got systems in place, you don't have to micromanage. Otherwise, if you micromanage, you can run mad. And that's the advantage of number one, digitizing and automating your operations, which we are doing with our companies. You can be able to run 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 different entities, not because you're super smart, but AI is now aiding you to do some of this. So we have to take advantage of technology. And we can support people on the same journey. And to be honest, things are easy. Why? Because I've got some of these SBI softwares running on, for SBI as well, and for the other entities that I'm dealing with, like KAWA. But marching into KAWA. KAWA is a Kisubi Associated Writers Agency. They're a group of some of my former teachers at St. Mary's College, Kisubi. They started out by writing textbooks, and I kept in touch with them even when I had gone to the UK and later the US. I kept in touch with them. I was supporting them in with some of their activities, and when I would get back here, I would sit down and have some strategic conversations about what they are doing, what their vision is, where they are seeing the vision of the company, whether they had one, and their objectives. So I came in and joined them around 2015, and the focus that time was just the textbooks. And I told them, you see, the future is digital. The future is digital. Fortunately, it has been accelerated by COVID-19. And you know, since that time, my vision was, I did go to a great school. I went to St. Mary's. I got high quality education, which so many people do not access. I managed to do aerospace, not because, I mean, yes, I would say I might be quite intelligent, but again, there's hundreds and millions of Ugandans that are just as intelligent or even more intelligent than many. So in my mind, my passion was to try and give these kids that are in the villages that opportunity to access the same quality of education one would access when they are at St. Mary's. And you know, some of the challenges thinking of that dream then was, how will this be adopted? How will I take SMARC to all these people? Can I build 1,000 SMARCs? Can I build 1,000 Budos? Can I build 1,000 Kibulis, 1,000 Gayazas, 1,000 Namagungas? How do I build these great schools across the country? I didn't have the money to do that. And the other big challenge we have is the quality, the number of quality teachers that are there up country. They're not as many. So the kid can only be as good as what they access, which brought me to the addition of tech in KAWA. So I told them, you know, the only way we can achieve the dream of getting these many kids to access this quality of education will be through technology. And it gave a rebirth to what KAWA is today. And when I sat down with some of my colleagues, there's Mr. Wamanga Moses, Mr. Peter Matsanga, you know, I talked to them and I told them moving forward, they will have to up their digital skills. They've got to enroll back to university and learn how to program, how tech can aid in education. Fortunately, they did that and they excelled at it, which was good. And I came up with a number of strategies then. Number one, how do you take tech to the schools? You need it to be adopted. So we used, I came up with teacher training in ICT, and that was to do with the tooling and retooling of teachers and teach them how they can incorporate technology in their teaching processes, in the pedagogy, in the delivering of material, how they can access information online for them to know what they're teaching better. And the Ministry of Education joined us on that journey. We, together with the Uganda Communications Commission, which I'd like to thank so much, and the ministry and the government of Uganda, we managed to train thousands of teachers across the country, all the way from Arua to the Karamoja region, to the Teso sub-region, to Mukono, straight over to Kabale. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I believe you know, we started then. The journey has been ongoing since. And then came the second phase, which was opening up of ICT labs across the country. UCC did prosper on this, and they did support that project quite a lot. They opened up 1,034 labs across the country, and they're doing a good job at that because they're still opening up more, and we have taken advantage of that infrastructure to open up ICT clubs in these schools and teach the kids how this technology can aid them, how it can help them gain new skills in programming, in robotics, and then we also taught them the very simple skills that you could use, such as making reports in Word, you know, promoting your local businesses online, and you know, the MS Word, you know, solutions that they could use. And we've seen big uptake in this. We've opened up 43 ICT clubs across the country, some in Arua, some in Gulu, others in Kisoro, some in KAWA, some in Masaka, some in Mukono, and there are quite a number. If you go on our website, it actually jots down most of these. And the other phase was to develop digital content.
Okay.
Because now we had to start from the teacher training, take this technology to the kids as well, and then now you deliver the digital content. So we are working together with the National Curriculum Development Center to try and digitize the curriculum.
Yeah.
We're trying to see how they can also develop the curriculum so that it gives people the skills that they need tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, the world is fast changing.
Yeah, of course.
The world is fast changing, and we would like them to slowly but surely get that curriculum geared up towards the skills of the 21st century.
Okay.
And yeah, so we've been doing quite a bit of work with the government of Uganda, with the Uganda Communications Commission, and we are very happy that the leadership in the country has helped and put the infrastructure in place, and you know, with the fourth industrial revolution that the president has come out to put out there and preach about. You know, we're happy he's doing that, and companies and schools, education, the different sectors are catching up onto that, and we believe the future is bright through that space. And before I forget, going back to SBI, I'll tell people that we've, just to inspire the younger people out there, we've managed to win accolades across the globe for some of our products. And some of these are the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Award. We've won an innovation award with them. We've won another with Microsoft, an innovation award. We've won hackathons across the continent and in the region. So this is to tell the young people that your creative ideas, your solutions will be and can be award-winning. And they can change the face of this country, they can change the world. Your ideas can change the world. And we are doing that at KAWA, we are doing that at SBI, and we are willing to help now the young entrepreneurs, the African SMEs, in order for them to prosper and thrive as well.
Okay. Paul, all of this, by the way, we're talking to Paul Charles Rukundo from SBI and KAWA, the Kisubi Associated Writers Agency, KAWA. And of course, Paul is telling us how does this fit into the Africa-France relationship. Paul, that said, a beautiful right journey right there that you've talked to us about. And I want to encourage as many people there to send in their kisses and disses. If you have a question for Mr. Charles, Mr. Paul Charles Rukundo, please share it with us and we'll definitely read it. Paul, before we take a break, how does this, all that you've talked about, fit into your experience that you've just gained recently as you were in France?
Yeah, so there's some information I'd like to share to our entrepreneurs, the startups, our youth out there. There are actually channels. There is infrastructure that has been set up by the French government to help us, the Ugandan entrepreneurs across the continent.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know that through Propaco and Digital Africa, there's been a fund that was set up recently. They've already injected about 3.5 billion for African startups.
Is this some information that you guys found when you were...
Yes, I found this information.
During the conference?
Yes, during the conference, and it was quite surprising. Yeah. So through the Choose Africa initiative, which was launched in 2019, the AFD is mobilizing, and it's mobilizing all its tools to finance and assist startups, micro-enterprises and SMEs across Africa.
Yeah.
And in response to the economic crisis that was triggered by the COVID-19, AFD Group is setting up its action by deploying a new component of the initiative called Choose Africa Resilience. And Africa is expected to face its first recession in 25 years. I mean, we've been on a boom, and Africa is the future, but because of COVID-19, we're likely to have a recession. Yeah. And some of the forecast of that they've got as a contraction in the economic activity by 3% in 2020 and a similar figure in 2021. Yeah. And they also discovered that SMEs and micro-enterprises were hit hardest with cash flow issues, which is where SBI comes in and comes to aid you. And the workers in the informal sector and the most vulnerable populations are bearing the brunt of the effects of this crisis. So they've come up and taken some initiatives to go beyond the macroeconomic response of the governments and the international organizations. Yeah. And they're coming up with new financing and support tools that they adopted, that will be adapted to strengthen the Choose Africa initiative. And this initiative is, runs all across Africa. Yeah. It's within the region. At our embassy, they've got an office there as well. And they aim to also take specific action to support the formal and informal private sector in Africa, with a mechanism to also catalyze the financing for our private sector, working together with counterparts, the MFIs, microfinance institutions, and a few development banks. But, I'll tell you that the initial commitment that the French government had for this initiative was 2.5 billion euros for African startups. And this was between 2018 and 2022, 2.5 billion euros that they had initially. And when COVID-19 hit, they came up with a resilience response component to it. And they added 1 billion euros to help support the recovery. This money has been given, some of it has been given to banks, MFIs, so that SMEs can be able to access that money and help themselves through this economic crisis that we are facing. And they are designed in such a way that people are supposed to access them for a very small fee. So I hope our banks can cooperate with us, with this Ugandan SMEs, to make sure we're able to access loans or debt in a very, very cheap way. So the total initiative right now, it's at 3.5 billion euros. Okay. Yeah.
I just want to interject right there, Paul, and just ask you this question. When France was reiterating all of this on that stage, while in Montpellier or Montefila, whatever we
Montpellier.
call it. Montpellier.
The Frenchman will call it Montpellier. Yes.
Montpellier, yes. What was going on in the minds of the young African entrepreneurs sitting there? It's not been like this before. The relationship between the Europe, particularly, and France and Africa has been very different. I mean, we've had a different relationship with France in the western part of the countries, in the central part of the countries, but this time around, there's a new relationship and a new approach to things coming up. You guys who are seated in that space on that day when France was reiterating this and putting all this together, what was going on in your mind, and what does it really, this announcement, means to the Ugandan creative industry who are in technology sector like you?
I mean, breaking it down, you'll have some expectations that I'd like my people to take note of. And some of the initiatives that they've got will help finance and give financial support to SMEs. They'll provide financial support to the small businesses and micro enterprises. They will also give targeted technical support and assistance.
Was this the understanding you guys
from
this discussion?
Yes. This is the understanding that I got.
Okay.
And the number of notes that I did take down in relation to this, and hopefully I can share to the other entrepreneurs that didn't have a chance to go there. Support is there, and we need to access some of this funding, but again, access it in a data-driven way, where you know that this is what I need, and this is how I can be supported. The more organized you are, the easier it will be for you to access some of this money, which is where we come in as SPI. How are we going to help your startup? How are we going to help your enterprise to be able to be bankable? How are we going to help you to have proper paperwork that you can take to these microfinance institutions so that they can support you? So this is where we think we do fit in, so that we can aid the startups, we can help the businesses, we can help the enterprises access some of these the 3.5 billion euros that France wants to support our startups and SMEs with. And to be honest, we'll be able to access this money through the different banks and the MFIs. And then one other thing I'd like to tell the other enterprises and the other companies out here in Uganda is right now, as we speak, 130 million euros has been put particularly for the innovation sector, but through the private sector, to support African startups. 130 million euros.
Okay. How much of this is going to the tech itself?
130 out of the billion euros that they added for the resilience, and the 2.5 billion euros that they gave initially for the period between 2018 and 2022. Right now they are looking at injecting an extra 130 million euros that will be deployed between now and 2025 to help the African digital startups as a result of this merger between Digital Africa and Propaco. But since 2018, 2.5 billion euros has been committed to support about 26,000 businesses across Africa.
Yes. Was there an accountability of some of these, figures and support that have been given? Were there some, quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics being shown on stage that day that we can say, okay, fine, we can see that this money went here, and this is the impact of this money coming out from, the earlier interventions have been giving? Was that sense given?
I mean, the general feeling was these Propaco and Digital Africa, they're not going to come and give the SME money directly. They're not going to come and give your business money directly. So they work through the different microfinance institutions, and they work through private sector foundation, for example. They'll work through the banks. I know they've given Access Bank in West Africa, you know, a bit of money. They've given, I think, Stanbic some of the money. They've given Equity Bank some of the money. So the earlier you get organized, then the easier it will be for you to access this money. But again, we are trying to tell them that the majority of the African SMEs, the majority of the businesses are not receiving some of this money. So there's a bit of a gap between the banks and the SMEs, and how they should be accessing some of this money. Because there are not so many people that we might know directly that are accessing some of this.
I mean, I've not heard you mention it directly. And yet you have been around. One would think that your organization...
I mean, right now we are in serious talks with them to try and cement some of those partnerships, and to actually see that we go ahead and access some of this money. So we are in talks with the French government, our embassy here, with FD and Propaco, to see that we are able to access some of this money. We scale our operations not just in Uganda but across Africa. And for sure there will be a lot more information coming out of the private sector foundation, Uganda, to the SMEs on how they can access some of this money. But some of the money you see in through private sector foundation and some of the microfinance institutions that focus on SMEs is actually money that comes from these
the
initiatives from the French government, and the money from Propaco and Digital Africa. There's one other opportunity that I would like to tell some of the companies out there that they should prepare for. There is an entity called BPI France, and BPI France has international tech partnerships that it's trying to build. And BPI is guiding and supporting innovative companies in building partnerships with international SMEs. And their goal is to accelerate the international growth for the startups and SMEs by strengthening their innovation capacity and efficiency through innovative partnerships with strategic players in France and abroad. So going forward, using the BPI International Collaborative Innovation Program, we can see some of our Ugandan companies join it, so that they can directly benefit from it. And I'd like to let people know that the program was designed to encourage and fund these innovative collaborations, which we can be a part of, between French and the international companies. The future that I see, or the advice that I can give some of our Ugandan companies is they should look to partner with some of the French companies, so that they are able to access some of this money. So the program will allow companies to unlock the final stages of developing an innovative solution before going to the market. So for companies that have innovative ideas, creative ideas, they can actually sign up for some of these initiatives. So BPI Finance and BPI France and its partners will offer a joint financing framework. A joint financing framework to companies seeking to form an innovative partnership. BPI France will fund the French company and the foreign company, which could be a Ugandan company. They will be funded by BPI Finance's counterpart, for example, here, if it's PSFU, if it's Microfinance Support Center, they'll be able to give you that money after creating that partnership with the French entity.
Okay. Paul, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will dive into the last part of the show where you'll actually tell us, so what sort of like partnership do we need to forge in the process for us to be able to unlock this? And will it be open to everyone, or will it be only to a few selected people? What would be the criteria? And of course, Paul will be expecting you to summarize with us just you know, your general perspective and picking from the, you know, from the Summit 2021 New Africa France, you know, relationship. What does it mean for us going forward? And we want to serialize this conversation going forward so we can understand. And it's very important that you out there who are watching the show see and seek the opportunity available through Creative Industry Talk. As you're seeing here, Paul was in France and is basically giving us a recap of what they picked from there. And there'll be a lot of other more people coming in from different sector. Last week we had Mr. Peter Nyeko coming in from the energy sector and agricultural sector. And of course this week we have, you know, Paul talking about this from the technology sector. And of course, it is something that you can pick an information from these areas and use it for your business. This is what the Creative Industry Talk, you know, program is all about. We'll be taking a break, and when we come back, we're coming back to the final rest of the show, and Paul will be giving us the summary of that. Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. Eddie Okila, Paul Charles Rukundo. We'll be right back after this break.
Of the pack. It helps you become the trendsetter. You know, humankind is set in a way that they will always have a thing for the pioneer of things. So we see it, if you think about these big corporations we see in Uganda and how they advertise and the different promotions they bring, you will somehow the target market will always have the pioneer front of mind. So for me, creativity, that is how important it is, because you will get the masters, you will be an A-lister on the papers. But if you do not know how to channel, because there's not one company in the arts or in business, as we know it, there's not a company that hires more than 10 people, and all of them are not creative. There is always creativity in a company.
What is Uganda? What is being Ugandan? That's what it comes down to, first of all. France is very sure what France is. I can be comfortable about that. You will never find anywhere in the world a Bordeaux wine done the way it's done in Bordeaux. You know that.
Yes, that's true.
You will never find Camembert cheese done the way they do Camembert in France. Have we got to a point where we can say, do we have a bukoto pie, which is the only way to cook that pie in the whole world? So when we go to Montpellier, we can get something from there and share with them that. So that's one way of looking at it. We've got to focus a bit more and really learn to celebrate ourselves. You know, can we have our equivalent of what is celebrated at the Louvre?
It is a Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is also Talent Television. In the studio, we are talking to you know, Paul Charles Rukundo, the CEO of SBI, you know, in the studio, and of course the KAWA. Those are two organizations, Ugandan startups, that have actually been able to be part of the new Africa-France Relationship Summit in 2021 in France. And Paul, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Yes, before we went for a break, you were giving us a recap of the new opportunities that presented itself when you guys are there. I want you to summarize that, but also give us, you know, an understanding of how do we prepare the Ugandan startups to be able to tap into this opportunity, because one thing is getting opportunity coming to us. The other thing is there some funding being put in to sort of like prepare the Ugandan entrepreneurs or the African entrepreneurs? You know, training is very important, capacity building is very important. Many of them have not been set up in a way that they can easily just switch to, you know, having a, you know, a partnership deed written and being able to go. With a very few exception of companies, maybe like yours, who have got a footprint, CEOs trained in Europe, understand some of these things and how they work. Not very many of our African, you know, startups understand this. So is there any sort of like a plan for us to sort of like capacity building and understanding of these people to go there? I come from a TV space, and I think that having this kind of conversation creatively is very important to prepare people and people's minds to be able to be receptive, to see the opportunities, and not to fear the opportunities in the end. And over to you.
Thank you for your insights and your questions. I'm actually happy to be on this program. But before we went for a break, I talked about some of the opportunities that we could directly tap into right now for the Ugandan companies, for startups, for big enterprises. There is something that we can actually benefit from this French partnership. And you know, we should aim to have mutually beneficial partnerships. And earlier we were talking about the BPI International Collaborative Innovation Program, where we're linking innovative companies from Uganda to the innovative companies in France or any other bigger companies. And because of such collaborations, BPI France will be able to give you money for your project. So they'll be able to give the French company money to de-risk dealing with you, the African startup, and then for the African startup here, you will also be given money, either in date or there's money that you can access as a grant to be able to aid your operations with the French business. And I would like you people to take note of that. If you can write it down, that would be great. The BPI International Collaborative Innovation Program. Check it out, and I'm sure there are so many people that will benefit from that. And the other is Euroquity by BPI France. So Euroquity is it's an online matchmaking platform between the investors in France, and you've got the startup companies here. We can be a part of this Euroquity. We can register onto Euroquity. So please note it down and you know, check it out so that your business can be helped tomorrow. Your business can be matched up with an investor, and that investor could look at your business, could invest in your company, and again comes down to SBI. SBI, if you're organized and you show these investors the analytics that we have given you over a span of time, it's easy for you to convince that investor that you're bankable,
as a company,
that you're investable. And speaking more about this online platform, it maximizes visibility of the startups and companies so that investors and partners can find you online. Over 1,500 companies have been funded to date. Over 1,500 companies.
Is it in Africa or all across the Europe?
It's a global network, like you might see some of these social media networks, or the likes of Facebook and Instagram. And you can sign up for it. You can register your company and have it on there, and hopefully investors can look at some of your ideas. So at the end of the day, we are trying to expose Ugandan companies, Ugandan businesses. And me and a few of my other friends that went there, the idea was, we've been given this opportunity to go to Africa. To go to France, Montpellier and Paris, to try and not just gain something for ourselves, but also help our brothers and sisters at home. How do I help my brother? How do I help my friend? How do I, and this is what I'm breaking down for them. The BPI International Collaborative Innovation Program, the Euroquity, which will do the matchmaking. Put your business on there. Let investors look at it. Let potential partners find you on there. And you've got the ability to access those markets without actually going there and pitching to every one of these people. So this is what technology is aiding us to do. Instead of saying, I want to go to France so that I can go and talk to a few people, give them my idea, so that they can find it.
This from here.
You can do it using Euroquity. Euroquity by BPI France. And some of the advantages of being on that platform is, number one, they'll have acceleration programs that are funded by the European Commission. Then you'll have digital training. You'll have coaching lessons and exclusive online pitch sessions. And with Euroquity, it will enable you to scale with confidence and speed. So for our startups out there, please register your business there. We want you to thrive. We want the next big unicorn to come from Uganda. We want the youth that are developing these companies, that have these startups, have these innovative ideas, to come out there and scale them up, to come up there and give investors a chance to put some money in your company. If you have any questions around this, please don't hesitate to ask us. We'll be ready to help take you through what these processes are, and we'll try and support you as well. And then last but not least, there is the BPI buyer credit. BPI predominantly was funding companies that are into the import-export between France and Africa. And they basically help finance the French company. And you who is accessing the loan, I'll give an example of a certain lady that we went with, our mama, our auntie, from Cheers, Delight.
Oh, the lady of shea butter.
No, Cheers. Cheers,
Cheers,
the juice company.
The juice company, yes.
Yeah, and essentially here we're telling them she's into agribusiness. And because of BPI buyer credit, she's got the opportunity to access very cheap date. And because she's in collaboration with the French company, she's able to access this money, and they're able to give her high quality products. High quality products that she can use to expand her business. And I'll ask you people to note that the buyer credit is granted to public and private companies, sovereign entities like a foreign client, for the purpose of financing the purchase of equipment, infrastructure and related services supplied by a French exporter. So going forward, you need to identify a French exporter who will give you the services or the products that you might need in order for you to access the buyer credit. So we've got to be innovative in the way
so it's a give and take.
Yes, I mean here you're saying I'm in agribusiness. I need money to, you know, expand my farm. I need money to buy, you know, some tractors. Go to this. I mean, utilize the buyer credit initiative that has been set up by BPI and the government of France, and you'll be able to access this equipment at a very low cost. You're not getting your money, your cash flow, and putting it down to make full payments for this. You're not asking the bank here that is charging you over 20%. It will kill your business.
30%.
It will kill your business. It will kill your business. So if you're accessing these loans at 4%, 5%, they can help your business. And we're here to share with you that knowledge that as an agribusiness, as a business that might need equipment from French companies, you can actually access, your dream can come true through this BPI buyer credit. So there is a minimum of 5 million euros, and a maximum of 25 million euros on a standalone basis, and up to 75 million when there is participation in a banking syndicate. So if the banks are involved and you need up to 75 million euros, this is now for the enterprises, you will be able to access this buyer credit. So French companies that are looking to offer financing solutions to their French buyers are already ready for participation in that area. And foreign entities that are looking to finance the export contracts that are that we enter into with these French entities. So the opportunity lies therein. So it's imperative for us to actually go out there, see how, for example, this BPI buyer credit can be useful to people that import products, equipment from France, can be able to access very cheap financing. I talked about Euroquity as well, from BPI, the matchmaking platform between startups, companies, and investors. Please sign up for that. And we've got the International Collaborative Innovation Program. This is for those in the creative space and the tech space. Please take advantage of these. We are breaking down what we got from this summit. And we are spreading this news freely to all our friends out there, to all the companies out there. There is hope. You're asking how you can access some of this money. We're giving you the avenues on how you can access this money. And we're happy to share this information with everyone, free of charge, so that people can thrive, families can thrive, Uganda's economy can thrive, and the youth can have jobs for tomorrow. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. And to everyone out there, this has been the Creative Industry Talk with Mr. Paul Charles Rukundo from SBI and KAWA, talking about, you know, the New Africa-France relationships, the things and discussion that came out from the Summit 2021. And of course, to all of you guys out there, you've got to take advantage of this. Paul has been talking about. Paul, we want to say thank you very much. And of course, we're going to bring this to a close. Today, we will not bring you so much, you know, bombard Paul with, you know, too many questions. We'll definitely refer the questions forward because we're time bound. And we wanted Paul to share as much as possible, you know, from that discussion and what does it really mean for the Ugandan tech industry. And I think Paul has done this topic, this particular one, a very good justice. We want to say thank you. If you have your kisses and disses coming, please send it through. Paul will be, you know, online and definitely will be able to respond to you. You know, visit, you know, SBI and have a discussion with Paul. If you have some of those, you know, challenges and you need the solutions, they're there to give you. And of course, if you're a writer and you want to visit, you know, KAWA, and they'll definitely give you some information. Paul, Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yes, and looking forward to another discussion.
You're very welcome.
Yes, and your final parting shot in second?
I hope the youth like me can keep having that hope that we can change our country. We can change the way the youth might be jobless. We can create opportunities for them. Take advantage of some of the pointers I've given you. Let's create more job opportunities for our brothers. Let's create more jobs for our youth out there. We've got a very young population, and we've got support government with its initiatives so that we come up with very innovative solutions that will help our communities. So thank you to the government of Uganda, the president, his leadership, the ministries that support us, the French government. Thank you for all your initiatives, and we hope these initiatives and the objectives you've got through Choose Africa, Propaco, Digital Africa, we hope they can help the African companies all the way from the SMEs, the enterprises, the micro enterprises as well, so that they can grow to the next level. And entrepreneurs, innovative companies out there, I hope my information can aid you move from the stage where you are to the next level. We'll keep sharing this information freely so that it can be beneficial to you, it can be beneficial to your friend. And those who have tuned in, please go out, share this information, share this knowledge so that you can help someone, so that they can thrive, so that, if the others thrive, we'll all be happy.
Yeah.
And let's stop putting this burden on government because they don't have all the solutions. We make up government. We, the people, make up government. If we come up with our own solutions, for sure we can change the world. We can make it a much better place for everyone. The youth are the future of tomorrow. We need to come up with our own solutions for our own challenges that we have. Let's not blame it on any entity or any government. It starts with us. I have shown you that through the other companies that I have managed to be a part of. We have managed to create changes. We've managed to do it without the support of, government at Yambe or any other initiatives.
Yeah.
We've come up with solutions that people have appreciated, government has appreciated. When someone finds you running, they can support you.
Yeah.
Or if they find you walking or crawling,
yeah,
they can support you to the running phase, they can support you to bigger phase. And we're not just looking at Uganda, we're looking at Africa. And you can do it. You're the future of tomorrow. And believe in your ideas, believe in your dreams, have faith in whatever you do, and you can achieve. Whatever you think about, whatever you dream, you can achieve. Have hope, have faith, keep positive, keep optimistic, keep determined, and you can make it in life, for sure.
Thank you very much, Paul. And from us here, you've heard it from Paul. Keep faith, keep hope, keep hope alive, keep pushing, and you can do it. Creative Industry Talk has come to an end. Eddie Okela, Paul Charles Rukundo, we're signing out. Until next time, we would like to stay blessed and stay happy. We're tossing out. No, we've got to spread the love one more time. Yeah, and we're spreading love to all of you guys. In today's world today, where things are changing quite rapidly, life is turning around quite fast all across the world. Coronavirus has come with so much that turn around the table, and before we know it, life has changed. But rapidly changing world, learning to lead our organization and to read the turbulences that comes with it is quite key. This is the CEO Bench. And of course, my guest on the CEO Bench this week and this particular morning or afternoon or night, depending on which part of the world you are in, needs no introduction. From the secret places of Orient in the West Nile Bank of Uganda to the modern masters of fashion and design as far as dressing people who are serious no matter in the world is concerned, is Santanzo.